Oh, all right. Looks like we're live. Don't have anybody yet. We'll give everybody a few minutes to join in. If anybody's going to join tonight, we'll see. I got it started a little bit late. Usually I have this up a little bit before the live broadcast goes live, so maybe everybody thinks I'm not going to make it. We'll see. But anyway, I'll just use this time to get disclaimers out of the way because, if you're watching this after the fact, you'll know what the rules are, kind of the disclaimers that we usually go through after we go live. So this is a live broadcast. We let whoever wants to jump in, jump in. We let whoever wants to talk, or jump in, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Pretty much every Thursday evening, 7:00 Central. This is where I am. I respond to the chat. I don't have any ton of topic planned out. I just respond and let the chat kind of drive the way the video goes, the way the chat goes, I should say, the talk goes. Anything you want to talk about, controversial topics, I don't care. The only things I ask is be polite, be family friendly. Don't be rude with anybody or hateful with anybody. If you have differences of opinion, we could still be friends over that. It doesn't really matter. It's not worth hating anybody just because you have a difference of opinion. So that's all I ask, is be polite. So let's jump into it. We got Chester Hickman here. Good evening. Good evening to you, Chester. He says, good evening, Chris. We got Buck Reynolds here. Says, hello, everyone, from Claremore, Oklahoma. Hope everyone is well. I'm doing pretty well. Hopefully you are too. Got a little bit of a late start, kind of time got away from me, and I didn't realize it, and realized, oh my gosh, it's 7:00. I got to jump on. Joe Sandy's here. Says, hey to everybody. Hello to you too, Joe Sandy. Good to see you. So I hope everybody's doing well. I didn't get a video out this last weekend. No real excuse, just didn't. We kind of had some things going on, and it just kind of got away from me again. Need to do a better job of scheduling my time, I suppose. Still got a little bit of chest congestion left from the cold I had, but I feel fine. Pretty much got over it. Just I may have a little bit of a cough still left, but it's not too bad. So hopefully we'll make it through the whole broadcast tonight. Shouldn't be too bad. We got 12 people joining in right now. 5 people have already liked the broadcast, and we've only been going 2 minutes, so appreciate that. Let me turn on my live chat because I've only got top chat going on. So I may have missed a comment or two. There's David Lister. Says, my mind says I'm 16. My body says I'm 75. My ears just say, huh? Yeah, I know the feeling. I'm not that old yet. I'm only 51. But still, I know the feeling. Yeah, it's a strange thing getting older because you don't really think like you feel older necessarily. But then you try to do something and you realize, oh yeah, I am older. I am getting older, and that is a problem. But anyway, I know how that goes. So hang in there, man. Hopefully it gets better. There's that cough. Chester says, I have New Zealand doe. I'm having a hard time getting bred. I put her in the buck cage, and she just hunkered down in the corner. What else can I do? It's a very common issue, especially first-time moms. The does aren't always necessarily open to breeding, so sometimes you have to, be patient with them. I don't know how old she is. Hang on, I got playing in the background. I'm not sure what it is. I had to make sure it stopped because it was driving me crazy. I could hear it. Anyhow, I'm sorry. Sometimes you just have to be patient, keep trying day after day after day, and a lot of times that'll get her in the mood. I've heard a lot of people say tricks about like put them in a car carrier, drive them around the block a few times. A car carrier, a pet carrier. Put them in your car, drive them around the block a few times or something like that. Bring them back, put them in with the buck. See if that helps. I don't know how old she is. You said you've had her about a year, so she's probably a little over a year old. I don't know if she's been bred or not. If not, it's going to be a little bit tougher to get her going, but it's not a lost cause. I would say just keep trying. Try again, like morning, evening. Give her 10, 15 minutes in there with the buck whenever you do. And one of these times she'll probably just go ahead and lift for him. A lot of times it's just that kind of behavior of the buck that gets them in the breed mood, so to speak. Andy says, hey, everybody from Southwest Michigan, good to see you. And Tony from Toronto, good to see you too. There's Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, hey, Chris, hope I'm not too late getting ready for National Rabbit Convention next month. Over 27,000 rabbits in one building. So excited. Our babies are doing great, by the way. And it says, by the way, your email didn't work for me. My email, Chris@slightlyrednecked.com is my email. Did it not? You tried to send email and it didn't work. Huh? I'm sorry about that. I'm going to have to check and see why that is. I don't know. I'll look into it and see if I can figure it out, but strange. Joe Sandy says, any idea why my 3 roosters have bare backs? The hens have the typical bald heads from mating, but this is strange. They could be molting. That's probably the most common thing that runs this time of year. Seems like rabbits are always, quail are always wanting to molt whenever the seasons change. Going into fall, it's a pretty common time whenever they want to molt. That sounds kind of like what it might be. So give them just a couple of weeks, and they will probably be, just fine. They'll grow their feathers back and be just fine. And then Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, so I looked you up on Facebook. Yeah. Well, that's how you have to do sometimes, huh? I don't usually respond to Facebook messages because I get a ton of them, but occasionally I do. So it's not very often. I mean, it's pretty rare unless I know it's somebody that I've been waiting to hear from or something like that. Good luck at your rabbit show or convention, by the way, and hopefully that goes well. Let's see. Buck Reynolds says, take her and the buck to a new cage. Yeah, that's another trick I might try to do is take the buck to a new cage. That's not his cage, just a new cage. Take her to that cage as well. But, do it right after you put him in there, or just a new area, a neutral area for both of them. Sometimes that'll work. Sometimes you can swap their cages for a day or two. Put her in his cage, put him in her cage, give him a couple of days, and then swap them back, and then put her back in with him and see how that goes. That could sometimes work out as well. Most of the time when I have issues getting them to breed, I just keep trying, and eventually they breed. Sometimes it takes 4 or 5 days, sometimes a week, but usually that works. All right, grab a drink here real quick. It is almost Friday, as it is every time we do this broadcast, and I don't know. It's kind of been a long time getting here this week for some reason. I don't know why. Usually I don't feel that way, but this week it did feel like it took a long time to get to Friday. All right, we need some chat coming in, so I have something to respond to. I do have my live chat on, so I shouldn't be missing any of them. Oh, excuse me. Oh, let's see. What else we got? And there's Backyard Homestead says hello with a waving hand. Hello to you too. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. By the way, Mother Wolf Rabbitry, you're not late. I was late today, actually. Well, I was just a minute or two late, but still I was late today. But we don't keep attendance here. You know that, so it doesn't really matter. Shane Hesterly says, hello, Chris and viewers. It looks like you got over the crud. I did. It didn't last that long. I was sick really through the weekend, Saturday last weekend. No, it was the weekend before, wasn't it? Was it last weekend? Weekend before? No, it was the weekend before, actually. I was, anyway, sick through the week. I still have a little bit of congestion left, just a little bit. It's not too bad. But I'm just trying to get rid of that. It's breaking up and kind of going away, but it's not completely gone just yet. I feel fine, though. I haven't been sick for a little while. Backyard Homestead says, glad to be here. Glad you're here, too. Let's see. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, can you go over wintertime preparation since it's almost time to prepare for colder weather? Yeah, our winters here aren't super harsh, so some of you guys may have worse winters than we do. We do get down below zero sometimes, but there's not a whole lot that I do for a wintertime preparation for my animals. They've already got wind blocks. I swapped the quail watering system out for a heated watering system. The rabbits I water in bowls, like the rubber bowls, so I can turn them over and bang the ice out of them. I don't fill their water bowls completely up in the winter because if it's going to freeze, there's no sense in filling it all the way up. I just fill it a little bit, and then I'll go in the afternoon and add a little bit more water on top of that. And usually the next morning I bust the ice out of it and start all over again. But that's pretty much it. As long as they've got a windbreak, can get out of the wind, and they've got access to fresh water, they're fine. There's not really a whole lot more I do, really. Let's see. Backyard Homestead says, do use something, but I think there's more to that. We'll get that here in a second. Marine Veal says, I have about 40 quail in an aviary. They are all molting. I keep checking them. I'm positive at least one. I think that cut off. At least one eye, and then there's nothing else there. Yeah, it's a pretty common time of year for quail to molt. They get over it usually pretty quick. Like I said, a couple of weeks, they'll be back at it. But anyway, Backyard Homesteader says, do you know where I can get all black Caturnix? Quail math is starting to add up. I don't right offhand. It seems like somebody has mentioned somebody carrying all black Caturnix recently. I don't remember who that is, so I can't speak to it. But maybe they're in the chat tonight and they can give the recommendation. A lot of times they'll know, when I don't. Chester says, could I try a different buck? She's a white New Zealand. So can I try with a black or a California buck? Yeah, you could absolutely try that. I mean, there's no reason not to. See if that maybe helps. What I usually find is stubborn does are just stubborn anyway. But, just the act of trying to get them to breed, a lot of times we'll get them in the mood to breed. So, yeah, I mean, that's not a bad idea. You can go ahead and definitely try. All right. Where were we at here? I don't know. Does anybody in the chat know where you can get all black Caturnix? Backyard Homesteader says, how cold can Caturnix tolerate until they start to lose heat? I don't know that I can tell you exactly how cold they're pretty cold tolerant. They can handle really cold temperatures. We get down below 0 Fahrenheit and it doesn't seem to phase them much at all. They do just fine, no problems. So some of these people that are in much colder climates may be able to speak to that a little bit better because, down below 0 is all I can tell you. They can handle that, no problem. Swanson says, Thieving Otter Farms has black Caturnix. There you go. I knew somebody would know that. I keep forgetting about them. I'm not familiar with them. I haven't done business with them or anything, so I don't really know, but I keep hearing their name brought up, so there's a place for you to check for the all black Caturnix. Excuse me. Let's see what else we got here. Chat's a little slow coming in tonight. I always need to have something back up to talk about. Backyard Homesteader says, I checked Amazon and I looked like a scam. You checked Amazon for what? For all black Caturnix? S.O. Swanson says, Rebecca at Thieving Otter Farm is good people. I've met her. Well, there you go. There's a good recommendation for Thieving Otter Farm. Marine says, you're missing some comments. I turned on the live chat. I don't know. I'll hit it again. We'll see if that makes sure I don't miss any. Oh, it looked like a scam. You were looking for black Caturnix on Amazon. It looked like a scam. I don't know if it's a scam necessarily, but you may not have the best absolute results ordering just randomly off Amazon. Don't know if there's a what do you call reputable breeders that sell on Amazon. They may just be kind of trying to get started or something. So, but anyway, you're probably better off going with a reputable breeder. Shane says, S.O. Swanson beat me to it. Thieving Otter Farm for sure. G. Michael Jr. says, you missed my previous question, so I will ask another. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to, I've covered every chat that I could see, I think. Oh, no, wait, I see it now. I missed it completely. Anyway, it says, have you done or can you make a video on choosing a set of breeding rabbits? I have done videos on choosing rabbits for breeding. Hang on a second. I'm going to comment or highlight your other comments. So I won't forget and I'll go back and get that in a minute. I have done videos on choosing rabbits for breeding. Really it's just, it's kind of, I don't know. Really, it's not that hard to figure out which rabbits you want for breeding. Pick a decent breed, a New Zealand, a California, a silver fox, or one of those that are pretty well known. Pick one of those. Look for ones that are fairly good size. Usually when you're buying rabbits, you're buying young rabbits. Not many people sell older breeders. You're probably going to get more bang for your buck buying a young rabbit anyway. So if you're looking at an 8-week-old rabbit and it's already 5 pounds, it's probably a good chance it's going to be a pretty decent breeder. Talk to the people that are breeding, see how big the litters have been producing from the parent generation. That's probably going to pass on to the young. And that's pretty much it. As long as they're having decent litter sizes, 8 to 10, somewhere around in there, they're growing out decent, 5 pounds by 8 to 12 weeks, 12 weeks at the latest, then you probably got pretty good breeders. That's what I would go with. There's another comment from you I did miss. You're right. It says, hello, Chris, and all from SLC, Salt Lake City, I think it is, Utah. Chris, are you planning to do any more collaboration videos? I don't have any specifically planned out. I'm not against it, though. I wouldn't mind doing them. I just don't have any specifically planned out right at the moment. Desert Homestead says, I have a hutch with 4 hens and 1 roux. I've gotten 5 eggs a few times. I check daily. I see the roux doing his job. Any thoughts? 4 hens and 1 roux, and you've gotten 5 eggs a few times. And you check daily. Okay, I'm not sure. You got 4 hens, but you've gotten 5 eggs a couple of times. I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess you're saying that they're producing more than 1 egg a piece. Is that what you're saying? You're a little bit, that's a little bit odd for sure. But sometimes they do get pretty productive, and you will get like maybe you maybe only got 3 eggs one day and then 5 the next. It's because they laid late in the evening and maybe earlier the next day or something like that. But that's probably it. That probably won't be a really reoccurring issue for very long. I noticed that they really get really productive when they first start laying, and then they kind of slow down a little bit after that for a while. Chester says, I have New Zealand, California, and Palomino. Yeah, those all sound like pretty good meat rabbits. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says a good way to pick breeding stock for meat rabbits is to attend an ARBA rabbit show and ask the winners if they have babies available. Says we commercial meat breeders breed for meat yield. There you go. I mean, that's not a bad idea either if you have anyone near you. I do not. I haven't seen any ARBA rabbit shows coming up anywhere close to me, so I've actually never been to one, but that's a good idea. Or even 4-H clubs, state fairs, those kinds of things as well would be good places to look. G. Michael Jr. says, just to clarify on breeding rabbits, I mean checking if they are healthy. Oh, yeah, okay, that's a good point, too, because you do want to check a few things to see if they're healthy or not. Check their feet. Make sure you don't have any issues with sore hocks. It'll be pretty obvious if you do, if they have real thin fur on the bottom, like the back side of their back feet, or even open sores right there. You do not want to mess with sore hocks. Keep an eye on their teeth. Look at their teeth a little bit. Make sure that they're, not super overgrown or anything like that. Most of that, I mean, as long as their eyes look bright and shiny and, their coat looks decent, they're not, mangy looking or anything like that, you're usually pretty good. Check their ears. Make sure you don't have any issues with ear mites. Ear mites is pretty easy to treat, but if they're overly infested, probably don't want to invest in that rabbit either. So those would be kind of the main things that I would really look for, just to make sure. Marine says, in the fall, winter, do male quail stop foaming? All my quail look like female when vent sexing. It's not necessarily, it depends, I should say. If you have lights on them and you're keeping the light at 14 hours a day, they should still continue to produce. The hens continue to lay eggs. The males continue to crow, produce foam, all that good stuff. If you don't keep lights on them, though, the days are getting shorter. And once it drops down below about 12 hours a day, they go out of breeding mode and they're not going to produce foam when they're not breeding. So it depends. Do you have lights on them? Do you not have lights on them? If you don't, yes, they're probably going to stop doing that. S.S. Swanson says, I had a hen lay every 23 hours, so timing could make me think I got 2, though after 4 days, she'd reset and start over on the timing. Yeah, that does happen from time to time. You will get those hens that do that. Chester says, I breed for 4-H and FFA. Well, there you go. Backyard Homesteader says, I knew someone that raised rabbits, not sure what breed altogether. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of rabbits out there, and a lot of them would be decent meat rabbits. Shane says, Desert Homestead, my wife checked egg last night around 8:30. I got another at 10 o'clock when I went out to turn off the lights. That's strange. I mean, I guess it's possible for them to have, 2 eggs. More than likely what happens is one gets hung up in there for a little while while the other one, is being produced, and then they just lay both of them, in one day or something. But it's not a common thing at all. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, we're about to hook up for our Christmas lights on our outdoor rabbit setup to help supplement the lighting for wintertime breeding. I've never had much of an issue getting rabbits to breed in the winter. It's usually not a big deal, but light does help a little bit. No matter what kind of animal it is, the light, the amount of light that they get usually signifies when they go into breeding season, when they don't. Joe Sandy says, anybody tried freeze drying hard boiled quail eggs? I tried it recently, not impressed. They're extremely fragile and fall apart at the slightest touch. I haven't really found anything that's freeze dried that I really liked at all. So, no, I haven't tried quail eggs. I don't have a freeze dryer. I haven't invested in one. And I don't necessarily plan to because, like I said, I haven't really found anything that I liked that was freeze dried. So I'll just stick with canning and regular freezing and all those ways to preserve my food. Eggs, I don't really bother preserving much because I get more than I can eat anyway. So I don't really worry about them. Backyard Homesteader says, I get 11 hours and 18 minutes of daylight currently, so my hens aren't laying right now. They are in rest mode. Yep, that you're right. If you go down below, really below 14 hours, but especially when you get down below 12, they pretty much just shut down and quit laying. And you can do that. There's no reason you shouldn't. If you want to keep them laying all winter long, you can keep them laying all winter long with, adding light, or you can just let them rest, basically. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, I've gotten around to making any rabbit blankets yet, mittens or anything. Or have you gotten around to it? No, I have not. I don't usually buy. In fact, I never bother really with saving the furs because they're awful thin. Really, they're not really good for much except for craft purpose. And you could make clothing out of them, I suppose, mittens, hats, that kind of thing. They're not going to be super high quality, which is, who cares if you're just making them just to do it? But I just haven't bothered with it. G. Michael says, have you ever tried water glassing quail eggs when they are in abundance? No, I have not. I'm familiar with the process, but I haven't done it myself because, like I said, I get more eggs than I keep them laying all winter long, so I don't really have to worry about it. Joe Sandy says, wait. S.O. Swanson says to Joe Sandy, freezing the eggs will alter a solid yolk flavor, and it's hard to draw out the moisture from a whole egg. I don't know anyone who has been successful with it. Well, that makes sense. Joe Sandy says, we love freeze-dried fruits and tomatoes, but I know the texture is not for everybody. Yeah, I don't know that I don't think it's a texture thing. I don't usually have any kind of texture issues with food. I just haven't really found anything that I really liked freeze-dried. Shane says, sorry for the confusion, Chris. When I replied to Desert Homestead, I was saying one of my other hens has probably laid an egg later than my wife checked. I have 8 hens. Wife got 4. I got 1 later. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, maybe my confusion then. Backyard Homesteader says, can meat rabbits be more profitable than jumbo Coturnix? They can if you have, it just depends. It's really a matter of how much. One single rabbit will sell for significantly more than a jumbo Coturnix quail will. It also depends a little bit on your market too. Now, to get really good profits out of rabbits, you're going to need, and that is probably a little bit of a difference between rabbits and quail. If you have high quality pedigree rabbits, then they're going to sell for significantly more than just your run of the mill meat rabbit mutt. Around here, those go for, $15-20. I can sell my pedigree silver foxes here for about $30. But if you're really serious and you get into it and you really breed like show quality rabbits, then yes, you can make significantly more than that. And that's a pretty good payout. You'd have to consider quite a few Coturnix. Our adult Coturnix quail around here go for about $5 each, so it's not a huge profit margin on them, honestly. Jan He says, good morning everyone from Brisbane, Australia. Saying hi to everyone and have to go back to work now. Oh, that sucks. Well, thanks for stopping by, saying hi anyway. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you again sometime soon. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, yes, the average show quality rabbit price is around $150 right now. So there you go. Yeah, $150 for a rabbit. That's a pretty good profit on a rabbit. But you've got to get good show quality rabbits. I don't show rabbits, so I couldn't tell you the specifics on like what a show quality rabbit is and what you need to look for. But I know that I think ARBA does publish like the standards that you would want to look at. but it would help to probably go to a few shows to figure out, what they're looking for and what makes a good rabbit. Wendy says, what is a jumbo quail? If I have a jumbo and hatch their eggs, are they now jumbos? Yes. Yeah, Backyard Homesteader says jumbo is a line of Coternics that get over 14 ounces. But yes, well, theoretically, you may get some runts in there. But yes, for the most part, you hatch jumbos, you get jumbo quail. And as long as you stick pretty, you don't have to be super, you don't have to, how do I want to say this? You don't have to be, you don't have to really nerd out on it and really pay that much attention to the weight necessarily. But you do want to kind of make sure that whenever you're selecting your future breeders, you're selecting kind of the bigger ones. You don't want to keep breeding for smaller sizes. You want to keep the bigger ones. But I don't go to the point of weighing them or anything. I just kind of eyeball them and which ones look to be the biggest. But yeah, the jumbos produce jumbo quail. Ashley says, in your opinion, what are the best options for supplemental light sources for the quails? Well, I've got a couple of lights I've got a light that I've been using that's in my Amazon shop right now. It's a solar powered light, comes on right at dusk, and just comes on automatically and stays on until the battery runs out. And it's been doing a pretty good job. I'm going on a couple of years with it now, and it keeps them laying pretty much all winter long. Sometimes the very shortest days, there's a 2 or 3 week period there where egg laying kind of slows down a little bit, but even then I'm still getting eggs usually, and all winter. So they worked pretty well. I'm pretty impressed with them. They're a little bit I want to say they're around the $30-$35 mark, but they work pretty well. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, yes, attending shows and having a record of judges placing your stock as winner or best in show makes all the difference. There is a considerable margin between show fees and revenue. We only do one show a month. It's $300. So it's $300 for you to enter the show. Is that right? And if you sell 6 babies months, 150, it makes a nice profit. Yeah, there you go. Now that makes sense. Then yeah, if you sell 6 of them, you're basically 2 of them covers the cost of your shows. S.O. Swanson says, I use a single 60-watt light bulb above the cage. Yeah, if you have electricity out to your cages, the options are endless, basically. I don't run electricity out there. I do run an extension cord to run the heated water, but I don't run lights off electricity out there. I just let the solar lights do it. Backyard Homesteader says, do you breed chickens? No. We do occasionally buy meat chickens, Cornish cross, and we'll do a meat chicken run to fill the freezer. But we don't do I don't have any other chickens. I don't keep chickens on a regular basis. May at some point, I don't know. I don't see any point in it right now. Ashley says, let's see, follow up. Does the light turn on or does it gradually brighten? I've heard sudden light changes can startle the birds. I think it just turns on, but I honestly don't know because I don't stand out there and watch as the sun's going down. But it's too dark out now. I was going to say, it's too dark out right now. It's already pretty dark and the light's already on. I think it just comes on, but it's fairly sensitive to, it does just come on now that I think about it. I've seen it come on before, but it's fairly sensitive. So it's not like it goes from pitch black to just lights on. It comes on before it gets completely dark out. S.O. Swanson says to Ashley, you don't want it to get dark, then give them light. The supplemental light should come on while the sun is still up. Yeah, so this one, as the sun starts to go down, it starts to get dim. This one comes on and keeps it lit. So it works pretty well. So yeah, it's not like he said, it's not waiting until it gets completely dark and then comes on, But I know this because, in the mornings, like when it goes off, if I step in front of the solar panel, the sun's behind me, just cast a shadow on it, the light comes on. So it's not even dark. It's just that the light comes on because I've cast a shadow over the panel. Gunklingen Palin says, for chickens, it's just the opposite. You go to add the daylight to the morning so they don't get caught off guard trying to get on the roofs for the night. Well, that makes roosts. Yeah, the roosts for the night. So you can add the light in the morning. Okay, that makes sense, I guess. Jacob says, when is too soon to handle your new rabbit babies? Well, I wouldn't stand out there and try to catch them as they're coming out of the mother, but other than that, you're probably fine. I usually give them, other than just checking on them to make sure they're having their babies in the nest box. If they have any on the nest floor, I pick them up, put them in the nest box. The day that try to catch them the day they're being born, and just make sure, not literally catch them, but see that they're being born in the nest box. Try to leave her alone completely, and give them about 24 hours, and then I go check on them, and I can handle them at that point. It's no problem. It doesn't really bother the rabbits for you to get in there and handle them. They're not going to abandon their babies, or if they do, I should say that it's not because you handle them. Backyard Homesteader says, have you bottle fed one of your rabbits? I have not bottle fed any of my rabbits. I've never had to. Yeah, I've never had to bottle feed one. So no, I've never done that actually. Well, let me think about that. I take it back. When I was a kid, we did have a wild rabbit that we bottle fed. It didn't make it, but it lived for a little while, but it didn't make it in the end. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, never too soon. We do wellness checks twice a day, head count really, all there in the morning and all there before bed. Yeah, I do kind of the same thing once they're past about a day. I usually give them about 24 hours just to make sure she's had all her babies, not to be pestering her while she's giving birth, that kind of thing. But that it's not too soon, anytime really. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says bottle feeding doesn't really work. The mom's colostrum is unmatchable, I think. Yeah, unmatchable. Never had one survive bottle feeding. Yeah, that's kind of been my experience with trying to bottle feed just about any small animal like that. It's very difficult and doesn't seem to work very well. How are we doing on time? 7:34. We got 25 minutes left. It's flying by, isn't it? Don says, good evening from South Central Illinois. I got hung up setting quail eggs in the new incubator. Well, that's a good reason to, I guess you're saying because you're late to the show, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's fine. You don't even have to be here, and we're not going to be upset with you. But I am glad that you made it. Thank you for joining. Good luck with your hatch and your new incubator. How exciting. It's always exciting to have a new incubator, isn't it? Let's see. Backyard Homesteader says, time flies when the birds of a feather flock together, LOL. Yeah, I guess you're right. That's probably it, yeah. Don says, yeah, I am late. I didn't think it would stop working when I put the eggs in it. Oh, I didn't think it would stop working when I put the eggs in it, LOL. So it stopped working when you put the eggs in? It's not a good sign, is it? Or is that I don't know. Either way, you made it. We're glad to see you. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, I need a plug for a really good incubator. Not crazy expensive, maybe $100 to $300 range. I need a plug? You mean you want somebody to recommend a really good incubator to you in that range? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I've been using the, what's it called? The Ovation, Rincy Ovation 56, I think is what it is. And it's worked pretty well. Backyard Homesteader says Little Giant. I had really good results with my Little Giant incubator. I mean, I've still got it. I look up there because it's up there. You can't see it. But I don't really use it much anymore because I've got the other one now that I've been using, and it's all plastic, so it's a little bit easier to clean. But both of them have produced pretty well, pretty good results. S.O. Swanson says, let's all take a second to hit the thumbs up. We only have 15 with 32 watching. Well, thank you, S.O. Swanson. I appreciate that. And then Dawn says the egg turner had a glitch. Oh, that's not good. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says we managed to breed our Cornish grow-outs to a Brahma, and they're laying really well. Cornish cross are laying? Is that what you're saying? Is that what they are? I'm kind of confused. I didn't think Cornish cross would lay eggs, and if they did, I thought they'd be sterile. But anyway, maybe I'm wrong. Jacob says, can you breed rabbits all year round outside, or would you give them a break during winter? No, I do it the other way around. I give them a break in the summer. The heat of summer is harder on them than wintertime is, so I pretty much breed them all winter long, and the hottest months of summer I give them off. I've had way better luck with that. I've had more issues with heat in the summertime than I have with cold in the wintertime. Desert Homestead says, I bought a couple of scoops of black soldier flies from a local reptile store. I dumped them under my quail hutch. They buried themselves quickly, and I'm hoping they start multiplying and composting. I'm sure they will start composting. Excuse me. I choked on my own saliva, I think. That was not part of the congestion cough that I've had. S.S. Swanson says, yeah, I'm sure they will start composting pretty quick. Whether they'll start reproducing, maybe not, because they would have to, develop into flies, and then the flies lay eggs, produce more larvae, that kind of thing. And it's coming up on wintertime, so chances of that, of course, you're in the desert, so, maybe not in your area. But in my area, we don't have them in the wintertime. We have them in the summer. They just come naturally, though. S.S. Swanson says, give them a break in the summer, Jacob, if you have high temps. Yeah, it depends on your area. I mean, you can technically breed all year long if you want to. There's plenty of people that do it. I just like to give them a break during the hottest parts of the year. Don says, my little giant blows the control board and sensor every hatch. They replaced them. That is why I'm testing a new 56 one off of Amazon. Interesting. I've had my thermostat go out twice in my little giant, but that's over the course of like 12 years, something like, over a long period of time. And both times they replaced it, no problem. So I didn't have any kind of consistent issue with them. They all worked pretty well. Weather Wolf Rabbitry says, Cornish cross definitely lay eggs. They tell us they can't lay to keep us from breeding them. Well, I thought they were sterile, though. Says we're going to get an incubator and hatch out the Cornish cross eggs to prove that it's a big lie to keep us buying. Interesting. I'd like to see that. Of course, you didn't breed two Cornish cross together, but still, I'd like to see how the results come from that. Don says, I've had my rabbits going on the ground under the cages since August and moved all the poop out of there today. If you don't move it, does it stink? I didn't, and I spread. It didn't, and I spread it all in the garden. It kind of depends. I don't think rabbit manure is really that. It doesn't have that strong of a smell, especially if it's fairly dry. If it gets wet, it's a little bit. Same thing with quail manure. Really, honestly, if it's wet, it's a lot stinkier than if it's dry. But if it stays fairly dry, and even wet, it's not that bad. I don't hardly ever notice a smell around my rabbits at all, and I just let it pile up under the cages until I scoop it out and put it on the garden in piles, and it's never been that bad. Buck says, I breed rabbits year round. Yeah, there's plenty of people that do. Wendy says, I have watched all your videos on quail and just wanted to say thank you. You've helped me through a lot of issues. Well, you're absolutely welcome. Thank you for watching the videos. I appreciate that. Backyard Homesteader says, it's not ethical to breed them, though, as they die from so much weight on their legs. Oh, talking about Cornish cross. Well, maybe. Max, knock it off. He's digging at the carpet behind me. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, if you swish, well, hang on, because they die because of too much weight on their legs. Yeah, that can be an issue with Cornish cross for sure. But I don't know. I don't know how big of an issue it is. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, if you switch Cornish cross feed to layer feed at 6 weeks, you support their bone growth, and they live to 9 months to a year and lay eggs. So not a long time, but you're right. You switch their feed up, that probably does make a big difference. Let's see. Verna's here. She says, hey, Chris, 20-second like. Don't know why YouTube doesn't tell me when you are on. Well, I'm sorry about that. Thank you for making it, though. Appreciate it. Glad to see you. S.O. Swanson says it's the rabbit urine that stinks. Yeah, I think the urine does smell worse than the manure for sure. Becky says, Becky, the Backyard Homesteader says the cat urine is worse. True, cat urine is worse, although, yeah. Cat urine is way worse for sure. That's one of the reasons I don't have a cat. The other reason is I have a dog that would kill the cat. He would love the cat for about 2 minutes. Dewdrop says, moved half my quail to their grow out hutch, have a Farm Innovations water on the one side along with 50 pounds of sand. They have a suspended chicken feeder on the other side. Sounds like a pretty nice setup. I'm sure that they are pretty happy. Dawn says to S.O. Swanson, does the urine eventually saturate the dirt that will stink? Wait. Does the urine eventually saturate the dirt that will stink? I may need to move cages. I haven't noticed issues over time with that necessarily. In fact, none. I haven't really noticed any issues with that over time. Dewdrop says they have had a couple of nights below freezing with no problem. I'm not sure what we're talking about when you say they. Oh, the quail. Okay, back to the quail. Yeah. So, yeah, usually they can handle. I mean, if they're fully feathered out, say over about 3 weeks, they can handle pretty cold temperatures. Unless it's just like an all of a sudden they go from 100 degrees down to 0. I mean, that would be a little bit of a shock to them probably. But if they've been acclimated to the temperature swings outdoors and it's getting down in the 50s or whatever, then they can definitely handle that cold air. Look at that, we got a super chat. I knew that was Lars jumping in. I saw the Danish Crowns, I think it is, super chat come in. Thank you very much. It's 89 Danish Crowns. I think it's Crowns, right? Maybe I'm getting that wrong. But that's always Lars. He's very generous. Just jumps in here and throws some money. Never asks for anything. Just throw some money at us, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's see. Shane says, Don, rabbit manure has a low nitrogen level and can be used fresh. Quail manure has a high nitrogen level and can burn plants if used fresh. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right on that. Rabbit manure is great just to use fresh. It's considered a cold manure. There's a couple of manures that are like that. Alpaca's another one. Maybe goat, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. But most of the other manures do need to be composted or at least aged before you throw them on because they are higher in nitrogen. Myrna says that is why many raise American breast chickens instead of Cornish cross. Yeah, because they are a dual purpose. You're right. But as far as bang for your buck for meat chicken, if you're just looking for meat, it's hard to beat a Cornish cross. I mean, they're super, super fast growth. They convert feed really well. I mean, it's hard to beat them. Life Done Cheap with Lee says, why keep meat birds for eggs? There's way many more options that are better for eggs. Well, there probably are. But if you want to reproduce meat birds, that would be the reason to keep them for eggs. If you can hatch out your own instead of having to buy hatchlings from a hatchery and then raise them up for meat and then buy another ones the next year, that would be the only reason, really. Donis, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I think I got it right. Says, hey, I'm viewing from Northwest Haiti. Well, awesome. Thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate it. Don says to Shane, I have had quail for years and they are nasty. I'm talking about rabbits. Oh, rabbits. What about the rabbit urine? I don't know what we're talking about. I kind of missed it. Oh, when you were talking about the urine saturating the ground and making it stink, yeah, I knew that was about rabbits. That's kind of what I was referencing to. Backyard Homesteader says to Vay's Place, do you have all notifications turned on your subscription for the channel? Yeah, YouTube's get a little weird about that sometimes. I've stopped receiving comments, emails, so I try to kind of check those occasionally just to see. Haven't been responding to comments still, but let me see real quick, make sure. Okay, I got a whole bunch of unread email, but none of them from. I get an email from YouTube saying I'm live on my channel. I don't know why I need that, but it's not sending me any comment chats or comment emails anyway. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says we aren't keeping Cornish for eggs. We're hoping to raise meat birds that are self-sustainable without buying from hatcheries every year. Yeah, I get it. It makes sense. Let's see. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says they have to be crossbred to another breed, though. Yeah, you can't breed them with themselves, right? Don says, thanks, Chris. I'm getting the rabbits ready for winter out here. Well, good. I mean, rabbits are pretty winter hardy, too. They're not going to have many issues in the winter. Give them a windbreak. Don't leave them out there where they're just getting bombarded by winter wind. But other than that, if you do that, they're fine. They don't really need a whole lot. Let's see. Where are we at here? Oh, excuse me. Oh, you're on time. We got 13 minutes left. So Swanson says, my YouTube notifications come in email. I just don't have email up all the time. And yeah, well, I get that. Verna says, YouTube is being a major pain to me. Yeah, I used to get all comments emailed to me, and I've turned that on and off multiple times trying to get it to come back on lately, and they're just not working. I need to try to figure out how to reach out to YouTube support and find out why. Backyard Homesteader says, that is unfortunate. I'm not sure what exactly you were referring to when you said that, but yeah, it probably is unfortunate. Backyard Homesteader says, I'll look into breeding Cornish cross later after the stream. Keone says, duck manure is also a cold manure, just tend to have to use their nasty water, but it will not burn. Interesting. And then G. Michael says, what is that? SAKPASSE. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means. I'm lost on that. Backyard Homesteader says, is quail cold manure? No, quail is, well, a bunch of people jumping in there. No, quail is considered hot. And by hot, what they mean is high in nitrogen. It's not necessarily hot to the touch, although I don't know why you want to stick your hand in it. But, it is high in nitrogen. So if you throw that in a compost pile with the right, mix of carbon, it is going to get hot. I mean, it's going to smoke in the wintertime, or steam, I should say. And it gets pretty hot. But throw that on your plants and it can burn them from just too much nitrogen. It's not really like a fire burn. It's just it'll make them look like they've been burned. Donna says, Vase Place, I found that unsub does not work. What does work is if you go through their videos and put a thumbs up, I get notifications. If I don't, then I don't get them. Interesting. I don't know why that would be either. Wendy says, after calling a lot of male quail, I don't hear them crowing much anymore. Do you think it's due to the competition? Well, it could be a couple of different things. Backyard Homesteader says, are you tired? Because I'm yawning. No, not really. Sometimes I yawn whenever I get to talking too much. It's probably because I don't stop and breathe enough. But who knows? Anyway, Wendy says, okay, after calling the male quail, I don't hear the crowing anymore. Do you think it's due to lack of competition? There's probably multiple things going on there. One thing is, yeah, probably with less competition, they don't feel the need to crow as much. So, yeah, I'm sure that does help a little bit with that. But also, as they get a little bit older, I mean, they crow like crazy when they first hit age. And then it doesn't take very long, just a month or two, and they're calmed down. They don't crow very much. Like my roosters hardly ever crow. I don't hear them very often at all. So it's a combination of things that go into that. Verna says, Don, I think it's because of some of the channels I visit. They don't like prepper channels. Yeah, it could be. Verna says, Wendy, if you're not using supplemental light, they are coming out of breeding, so they will be quieter. Well, there could be that too. We addressed that kind of earlier, so I don't know if you heard that part or not. But yeah, if you're not using supplemental light, we're going into fall and the daytime hours are getting pretty short. They need about 14 hours a day of light in order to be breeding, and breeding, season is what causes them to crow. So hopefully that makes sense. Dawn says, do the bunny berries break down over time in the garden? If I pile it up now in spring, will it be dissolved or does it stay as berries? It will. I mean, it will break down over time. Just how fast depends on how heavy you pile it on, and all kinds of little factors in there. But even if it doesn't completely break down, I don't know that that's a big issue. I mean, just plant into it. It's going to be fine. Backyard Homesteader says, root burn, do you mean, Chris? No, when I'm talking about burning your plants, you'll see the leaves will actually, because they're taking in too much nitrogen, they'll actually look like they've been burned. They'll turn brown and look like they've been burned. I mean, I guess it could, burn the roots a little bit too, but, okay. Sorry, I got distracted by another comment. But really, I'm talking about the plants themselves will look like they've been burned from too much nitrogen. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, we're using all winter rabbit manure to fill raised beds now so that they will be ready in spring using the lasagna method. That's a great method. Lasagna method, or sheet mulching, or back to Eden gardening, whatever you want to call it. It works fantastic. Just throw a bunch of, basically whenever I start new garden beds, that's how I do it. I lay down a sheet of cardboard. On top of that goes a straw, usually, because that it'd be any organic matter. You can use leaves, you can use whatever. Even grass clippings, dried out grass clippings would work, but straw is what I can usually get. So I lay down a layer of straw, a layer of compost on top of it about yay thick, and then a layer of mulch or some kind of cover over the top to keep weeds from growing, and then plant into it in the spring, and it does fantastic. Okay, so G. Michael Jr. says, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Is it sock passe? I don't know. That's like French, maybe. I don't know. Is what's up in Haitian Creole? I was to say hi to the person from Haiti. My family is from there. Okay, there you go. I didn't know that. See, I was totally confused. I was like, I don't know what that means. Oh, let's see. Verna says, Don, water will loosen them up, but they break down really quick. They do break down pretty quick, too. And it also depends, just like anything else. If you have more carbon to nitrogen, if you have fairly equal portions of carbon to manure, so carbon being like brown, dead stuff like straw or dead leaves or dried grass clippings or something like that, they'll break down even faster because they'll just compost. But if you just throw them right on top of the ground in a fairly thick pile, well, it's going to take a little while for them to break down. Dawn says to Verna, LOL, thank you. When you said water, I thought, well, no rain since July here, so of course they are very dry. LOL, I forgot. Backyard Homesteader says, finally got to process my extra roos, 18 to be exact. My back wasn't thrilled about it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what always bothers me too. Sit in one place for too long or like one position for too long doing that. My back starts hurting. Backyard Homesteader says, thank you for the clarification, Chris. You're absolutely welcome. Verna says, Don, you can bag up the dried berries and sell them. Yeah, that's true. You can. Look on like Amazon or eBay. There's people selling rabbit manure on there, and it's a decent amount of money. I use all mine, so I don't bother selling it. But Wendy says, I do use supplemental light. Okay, so there you go. Verna says, so Wendy, they're just content and no fighting. Yeah, they probably don't feel the need to crow a lot to draw attention to themselves because they don't have any competition. So Dawn says to the Backyard Homesteader, oh no, you stood up. I sit in the chair over a bucket. I put them in a box on the floor in the kitchen and toss into the sink. AC for me. Yeah, well, that's a way to do it. Dawn says to Verna, I know, right? I offered some of my neighbors who is doubling his garden. Her son mowed my yard Tuesday for me. So I said that right. I don't remember how I said it. Sock passe, maybe? I don't know. I don't know if I got it right. Let's see. Backyard Homesteader says, no, I was squatting the whole time during processing. Yeah, anything that does that too. I mean, man, it's just, and it's, it's kind of always been that way, but it's definitely worse the older I get. I remember used to have to work on cars and bend over doing something over in the hood. And it's like almost impossible to stand back up. Just, oh man, it just kill your back. Desert Homestead says, I have a few barrels. I put all my rabbit poop in and I planted straight into it and plants are growing nicely. Yeah, it's a fantastic fertilizer. Verna says, Don, I have put those berries in a pot without soil and grew lemon balm. Boy, did it grow. At the end of the season, there was nothing but the roots of the plant. Really. S.O. Swanson says, busy, happy roos don't need to crow, nor do they have the time. Yeah, that's probably part of it too. Let's see. Dawn says, I don't have many rabbits. I plan to use the berries on all the gardens and share with my neighbor. The extra, I may sell them. Oh, then extra, I may sell them. Yeah. I've put some for sale occasionally, not very often because I use most of it. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, backyard, I had to read that twice when you said that you sit in a chair over a bucket. Yeah. All the manure talk, Yeah, that's funny. I didn't think about it that way. Verna says a hint to Dawn, put a bit of those berries in the hole before you plant your plants in it. And Desert Homestead says to Verna, you don't need to fertilize when you plant in a fertilizer. I guess that's true. But yeah, I do tend to, like, when I plant a tree or something, I throw a bunch of rabbit manure in the hole, plant the tree. When I do similar things. I don't actually, sometimes I do, but not usually, because I already added rabbit manure to the garden, so I don't bother like adding it to the hole when I plant the plant either. Sometimes I do, but usually not. I need to. I do plan on gardening next year, so I do plan on. I'm going to get out there when it cools off just a little bit more and get the garden cleaned up and do some amendment to it. I'll probably shoot video on it when I do it, because I have such a hard time coming up with content anymore. That's one of the reasons I haven't shot video in a couple of weeks. You guys gave me some great ideas. I've got them written down right here in front of me. I just got to see how to work that out. Desert Homesteading says you can put eggshells in the hole too. Yeah, I don't really think eggshells do that much. I mean, over time, yeah, they will help a little bit, but eggshells take forever to break down. And I've heard people say, that when you talk about tomatoes, that's generally when you hear eggshells put in there because it's calcium, prevents blossom end rot. Now, blossom end rot is caused by kind of a lack of calcium, but it doesn't necessarily mean there's a lack of calcium in your soil. In fact, that's usually not the case. It's usually more like the calcium in the soil is not in a form, or not, the plant can't take that calcium up. And most of the time that's because of inconsistent watering, not because there's not calcium in the soil, and not because of a lack of calcium. You probably don't need to add any. And adding eggshells really doesn't really do that much. I mean, like I said, it takes forever for them to break down. It really doesn't do much for them, I don't think. I may be wrong, but that's my personal opinion on it. Don says to Berna, says, I have a Manitoba tomato I pulled out of hydroponics and stuck in the ground last month with 2 scoops of berries in the hole. It's got 4 tomatoes on it and can do cold. I don't know what that means exactly, but yeah, that's pretty interesting. Backyard Homesteader says, Pepsi. Yeah, I'm a soda pop junkie for sure. 2-minute warning. Oh my gosh, 1-minute warning. Says, Chris, don't forget to tell the wife that we appreciate her sharing you with us this evening. I won't. I will make sure I tell her. Jacob says, what's the best way to get rid of abscesses in rabbits? Oh, I guess, you're going to have to give some kind of antibiotic probably, because that's an infection to treat it. I'm not sure right offhand what would be the best one to do. Go to a farm supply store, ask for him. That's the way they're gonna give you something that'll be able to handle it. All right. Yeah, we got to wrap this one up, don't we? Yeah, it's 8:00. All right, guys. Well, I may not have got to everybody. Oh, Mother Wolf Rabbitry says lance and drain the abscess. That's true. Lance and drain it first, then antibiotic ointment of some kind on it. Don't use any antibiotic ointment that has pain reliever in them. The pain reliever can be toxic to animals. But even just Neosporin, non-pain reliever, Neosporin. All right. We're going to wrap this one up, guys. We will see you next week, hopefully. I don't see any reason why I won't. So thank you for joining tonight. And until then, as always, God bless.